I'm Nicole, Dr. Kirby's friend. I have an appointment today.
Yes, we've been expecting you.
Good.
I do have some paperwork for you to complete.
Okay.
If you just have a seat, fill that out, bring it back up when you're done.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome, Nicole, to
Thank
Lifetime
you.
Hearing Services. We're so happy to have you here. Tell me a little bit about what brings you here. Why did you decide to come in to get your hearing evaluated?
Well, I thought it was time. Something I've never done before, and at my age, it probably needed to do something like that. And also, you encouraged me to do that.
I did. So tell me, are you noticing any difficulty with your hearing at all?
I would say as I've gotten older, I can tell a difference. I would say that because of my previous job, having an earpiece in my ear, that it would naturally be a problem to start losing some of your hearing. And I would say probably in certain settings, you can probably tell a difference.
Okay, so today is more or less a good baseline hearing evaluation to see where you're functioning and see how you're doing. Good. Any family history of hearing loss?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Any significant ear history? Any ear infections, any ear surgeries, anything of that nature?
No.
Do you feel that you are hearing equally between the two ears, or does one ear seem better than the other?
Now, I would say that they appear to be the same.
Okay, good. Any ringing or roaring that you hear in the ears?
Not that I'm aware of.
Perfect. Okay. So today we're going to do a comprehensive hearing evaluation. I want to start off by showing you how we're going to evaluate your hearing.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you the next step after that. So we are going to be using this graph right here. And the name of this graph is called an audiogram. As we go along the top of this graph, I am going to evaluate how each ear is able to hear low-pitched sounds all the way up to high-pitched sounds. So just like a piano has the low keys and the high keys, you need all those keys to make music. Speech also carries low keys in it and high keys in it. So I want to see how each ear is capable of hearing all of them. Now I am going to divide this graph right in half. The lower pitches on this side of the graph is what is responsible for giving you the volume and the power of speech that you hear. The higher pitches is responsible for delivering clarity and understanding. So we actually have two parts to our hearing. One is volume. Do I hear somebody? And then am I able to understand what I just heard? Okay, so we're going to be evaluating both sides of that. Coming down the side of the graph, we go from soft to very, very loud sounds. All right, I'm going to draw some more lines. Okay. The 20 line that goes straight across. If after we test you, your findings fall above this 20 line, this is our normal hearing range, and that means that everything is okay. Okay? If your marks, for the most part, fall in this middle area here, this is where we really need to focus on getting some help for your hearing. And this is generally where the majority of our hearing aid patients will fall, right in the middle. And way down here in the bottom are our very severe hearing loss patients. These typically in this area is where we start focusing on some surgical solutions for hearing loss, such as a cochlear implant. Okay, so in a couple of minutes, we'll take you across the hallway into the booth. We'll graph everything out, and then we'll go over everything when we have all the test results. Okay?
Perfect.
Our next step is to have a good look inside your ears to make sure that we have a clear pathway of sound from the outside all the way into the eardrum, just to make sure that we're nice and clear, that we don't have a wax impaction or any obstruction that might be causing some difficulties.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had no idea how hearing was separated with the volume to the clarity. That's interesting.
Makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, it really, really does make sense. It really makes sense too when we start going over the test results. Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, good. All right, let's go and have a good look in your ears.
All right, let's do it.
All right, we're going to take a good look inside of your ears today. I want to make sure that there's no wax impactions and that we have a nice clear pathway to sound. Okay?
All right.
Very good. That looks nice and clear, no wax. We have a nice clear pathway of sound.
I noticed it looked a little red.
It did. Did you happen to use Q-tips this morning?
I did.
That could be potentially what is causing the redness. We kind of steer our patients away from using Q-tips because if you did have wax in your ears, it would just push that wax closer to the eardrum, causing an impaction.
Good advice. Makes sense.
Can you hear me okay through those headphones?
Loud and clear.
Perfect.
Yes.
So together, we are going to measure the softest that you can hear in each ear at each one of those different frequencies that we talked about. To do that, I will play a series of tones, all different volumes and pitches, and each time you hear one, press that button for me. All right, you're doing great. So we're all done with that right side. Now we're going to do the same with the left.
Very
Okay?
good.
All right, you did great. Dr. Kirby is going to go over all of those results with you. You did awesome.
Perfect.
All right.
Gosh, that was a little unnerving. That was a little different. Yeah. I'm not sure about all that.
Well, you did great.
Oh,
She's
good,
gonna
good.
go over it all with you. Let's get these heavy headphones off. Perfect.
You hear different noises that you're not sure are the beeps, but then you do hear the beeps that you know are the beeps. So
And you hear your heartbeat.
you do hear your heartbeat.
Yes, ma'am. That's
but
right.
That was fun though in a lot of ways. So very informative. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, Nicole, let's take a look at your test results. Okay, so as you can see, because we've already gone over everything to begin with, correct? The red circles is how your right ear responded, and the X's is your left ear. Okay,
Wow.
so the first thing that I see is that the circles and the X's are really close to one another. So that tells me that your hearing is just about the same in both ears, and that's what we want to see, symmetrical hearing. Okay. The second thing that I see is that in these lower pitches, you're falling within this normal range. So that tells me that you're picking up volume just fine, no problem there. As we get into these higher pitches though, which is responsible for clarity and understanding, you can see that we're dipping a little bit below this normal range right here, right?
Yes.
And that's probably why you're starting to notice a little bit of difficulty in those background noise environments like the restaurant and things like that, is that your clarity is affected a little bit in those higher frequencies. Overall, when you average everything out together, the good hearing in the low pitches and that little bit of hearing loss in the higher pitches, you're still functioning overall with what we consider to be normal hearing for speech.
Ooh, thank goodness.
So you're still hanging in there.
Still hanging in there.
With normal hearing, but you do have a little bit of high pitch or high frequency hearing loss that we will definitely want to take a look at in the future to see if there's any shifting or changing in that area, okay? But for right now, you're doing okay. We just want to keep a good eye on everything as just the typical aging process that we have to go through.
Yeah, this has just really been eye-opening, very interesting to learn. And I'm not surprised, but I'm also thankful it's not any worse than it is, and that, can keep an eye on it and be attentive to it. I think one thing too, we probably compensate in our own way. We turn the radio up, we turn the TV up. What would you suggest would be some good things for me to do to try not to do those things so that I don't maybe harm my hearing anymore going forward? Or is there, how do you do that?
Yeah, with your amount of hearing loss, I think that you're good. But anybody in general with a lot of noise exposure. Noise is the #1 cause of hearing loss, especially in the United States of America. Excessive noise. And it might not necessarily be occupational noise. It could be going to concerts. It could be the lawnmower. It could be all kinds of power tools that the guys and the girls might want to use. So in those particular situations, I always recommend that people wear a good pair of earplugs. You can get them in the pharmacy, but just protect your hearing nerve from that excessive noise getting into that hearing nerve and causing damage that we don't necessarily want to happen than what is going to naturally happen with the aging process.
So really protection is key at this point.
For everybody, for everybody. Even children now, we're seeing more and more children and teenagers with hearing loss than we ever have before. And a lot of that is self-induced, right? They're wearing their earbuds and they're turning up that volume, and unbeknownst to them, because there's no pain involved with hearing loss like we already discussed, but they're damaging their internal hearing nerve. So it's just a lot of self-awareness and knowledge of taking care of ourselves. And good for you for getting a really good baseline hearing evaluation, because now we have this in our computer system. So a couple of years from now, when you come back, we have something to compare with, and we can see if your hearing loss is shifting or changing, and if it has, how much. So we have a really good baseline right now. So good for you.
Well, thank you for sharing that today
You're
and for checking me out.
Yeah, always good to see you, Nikki.
Absolutely.